So let's start with introductions. At 9 o'clock, we'll open the meeting and we'll start with some introductions. I don't know if you want to go around the room with the NVCOG staff first and just introduce yourselves. And then I'll call their names.
Sure, we do our staff. Aaron Budris, Director of Environmental Planning at NVCOG.
Hello.
Good morning. I'm Rich Donovan. Sorry, Director of Transportation Planning here at NVCOG. Hey, Tom.
And I'm Doherty, Environmental Planner at NVCOG.
Environmental Planner with NVCOG.
And I'm Desiree Blanchard. I'm the Communications and Community Engagement Coordinator at NVCOG.
Okay, is that everyone? Mark? Frozen?
Looks like Mark's frozen.
All right, we'll move on. I'm just gonna go around my screen here. So Jack, do you want to go next?
Yeah, co-chair of the committee and from Derby.
Judy?
Good morning, Judy Mancini, Advisor Mayor Pernaruski in Waterbury.
Cleve? You're on mute, Cleve.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yep.
Oh, sorry. Cleve Fuson at Litchfield.
Thanks, Cleve. Ryan?
Hi, just a citizen who's very interested in the project.
Great. Brian?
Hi, Brian Surwich, Town of Seymour.
Mark Jewell?
Good morning, Mark Jewell, Senior Planner with VHB.
NHCOG, Rob, is that you?
Yeah, morning. I'm popped in and I'll probably pop out at some point.
Amanda?
Hi, Amanda Birch, Chair Thomaston Greenway.
There's Sheila? Skip over that, and Jim.
Good morning.
Sheila O'Malley.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Culpa, VHB. So I'm a consultant liaison for DOT's local roads group. Sheila, you go ahead.
Okay. Sheila O'Malley, City of Ansonia, and doubling up with Brian Searwich on Town of Seymour.
Great. And we just had Heidi join. And she comes on, we can jump back to her. Next on the agenda, 2024 Deep Rec Trails Recap. Aaron, did you?
Yeah, so I thought we did the last meeting hear from a bunch of towns that put in or were putting in deep recreational trails applications. The steering committee prepared support letters for Beacon Falls, Ansonia, Harwinton, for the NVCOG, for Thomaston, Watertown, Oxford, and Westcog. I don't know if it might be a good idea to just go around and roundtable who actually did apply. I know some of those projects that we heard about changed before the application, so I thought it'd be good to hear what everybody applied for.
Sure.
And we can actually start. NVCOG submitted for design funds to design the section of Greenway that will be on Kinneytown Dam property. So as part of the design to remove the dam, this funding would be used to supplement that funding and actually design the trail through that property. So it was Christine, you might have to help me here. It was 2.3 miles, something like that.
Yeah, I think so, on the property. And then we were also looking for a little over 3 miles when we look at connections outside the property.
So basically go from around North 4th Street in Ansonia to Derby Avenue in Seymour.
Is anybody from, I don't think anybody was from Beacon Falls on the call. Do we know if they submitted?
I'm not positive about that one.
So as you know, I sit on that review committee and I don't believe Beacon Falls submitted an application. So, and Sonia, talk a little bit about what you submitted for.
Mark, you wanna talk about it?
Sure. Thanks, Sheila. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
The city of Ansonia submitted a Rec Trails grant application for additional funds to supplement the funds that they were successfully awarded last year in order to finish the design of the section of trail from Pershing Drive north to Wakely Avenue at Noel.
It's a 2-mile stretch, right, Mark? Sorry.
Correct. Yeah, it's just under. It's about 1 3/4.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going in and out, everyone, so I apologize.
Thanks, Sheila and Mark.
Yep.
Harwington, I don't see Carrie on the call, but they did submit an application. It was for design of the first phase of their trail from Torrington to Litchfield. Talked about NV-Cog, Thomaston.
Aaron, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Stacy, our land use officer, was doing this. I chair the Greenway committee, so I'm not 100% sure if we did finally submit our application.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they submitted for the balance of their original request from last year. So they were partially funded last year. I think it was 100 or 150 short of their original
150.
request. I think they asked for the balance of that to do design.
Yep, that's what we were doing. We were doing the balance from last year.
And Watertown?
Yeah, Paul Benevich, Watertown Town Engineer. We applied for additional funds in conjunction after we saw Ansonia's situation with Sheila about the 300,000 we requisitioned, requested, which we did receive. We're requested another 300,000 for the 2.38 miles from Frostbridge to Thomaston, which pretty detailed, extensive grading and work to be done there with the railroad involved. So that's we applied for another 300,000 there.
Oxford?
I think Oxford did apply, and they applied to improve a open space property that they just acquired, that the town just acquired. I'm pretty sure it was an open space and watershed acquisition grant that they used to buy a pretty big piece of property that abuts other open space, and it's also adjacent to a Blue Blaze trail. So I think their plan is to build a parking area, an access trailhead, and a spur trail getting to the to that Blue Blaze trail that goes then into like sort of along the Housatonic River. So pretty exciting new open space opportunities in Oxford.
And then Westcog.
Westcog applied for basically a routing study for an east-west trail that would go from Waterbury. Well, I guess eventually to the Farmington Canal Trail, but through Waterbury to Danbury along mostly along an old rail bed. So it's the same rail that the Larkin Bridle Trail follows. So that's about a 10-mile trail. So basically be extending that in both directions. So their study would look at, feasibility and costs and things like that.
WestCog also, just so you know, they submitted 2 applications. So they're both planning grants. One was the East-West Trail and one was Western Connecticut Regional Trails. So looking at connectivity for both. So they did have 2 applications that were submitted. We probably only were connected to the East-West one, but.
Yep.
So I can give a little bit of an update. The decisions are not formal or finalized, but we have been under review for these applications. Highly competitive round, 10 million to award, 96 applications submitted, over $20 million in requests. So very highly competitive, some amazing applications. I think, since Kim has taken over this project and over, the grant and this position she's been in, she's done a lot of training and outreach to our communities about what we really want to see in rec trails grants, and people have listened. We had no low scoring applications at all. They were all medium and high scoring, most of them high scoring. So if you're thinking about applying to the next round and looking at what you might want to do, start pulling together the information now, because it becomes very hard to review these and pick between $20 million of high scoring applications. We want to score, fund them all, but we can only fund 10 million. So good job on everybody who submitted applications, and we are hoping that this announcement comes out around the same time as Connecticut Trails Day, which is the first weekend first Friday, Saturday in June. So anticipation won't be much longer. Connecticut Greenways Council as a whole will review them next week and make final recommendations to DEEP, and then DEEP has to do their internal review before the award is granted. Okay, so unless there's anything else on that, I think we can move on. Active transportation updates. All right, NVCOG.
Yeah, thank you. So we actually have quite a bit of exciting news around active transportation to share. And so a couple of topics we want to cover. We're going to start with the active transportation plan. I know we've spoken about this with this group before, but we're making some progress on this plan now, moving along actually pretty quickly on it. And so I just wanted to share kind of the current status of this. Yeah, thank you. Elliot from our transportation planning department has been working on this now for just about 7 or 8 months. Back in the summer of last year, we got things underway, and he's been working on and actually just about finished now with an existing conditions report for our region. We were all very hopeful that the Yukon sidewalk inventory was going to look at every sidewalk in the state. Unfortunately, it seems like it's only going to look at state roads. So we're now trying to figure out how we fill in some of those gaps. But otherwise, we will have a pretty extensive existing conditions report done very soon. The project advisory committee met just about 2 weeks ago to review that. And so right now, a lot of the work is focused on public engagement. And you'll see this QR code in the top right corner. That is the survey we have open. We have just under 100 responses to that survey so far. Obviously, we would love for all of you to take the survey as well as to share it as widely as you can. Back in February, we held our first public meeting, kind of a design charrette style meeting with an opportunity for the public to tell us what they like and what they don't like in terms of the potential elements that could be installed, as well as where they would like to see more active transportation infrastructure. And so we had about 15 or 16 people come out to that meeting in Waterbury. We did another one just about 3 weeks ago in Bristol. And then a totally virtual meeting 2 weeks ago, again, with that same kind of concept. So as we've started thinking now about what the proposals are going to look like, what the future conditions are going to look like, this is where it gets exciting, and we're excited to see where, what we can get done out of this. What we're envisioning is really a kind of a 3-tiered system of active transportation network. And so we'll have our limited access or multi-use trails with the Naugatuck River Greenway kind of serving as the spine up and down through the middle of our region. And then what we're calling rib trails out from that spine. We're hopeful we can actually get into all 19 of our member communities with those rib trails, as well as hopefully eventually get connections made, east out to the Farmington Canal and west into the West Cog and Northwest Hills territories. And that serving as the center of that system, that primary system. We're then talking about kind of the secondary piece to that, which is once it's in town, how does it get to where things are, where people really want to be able to go? And so this will be higher level, but on street, most likely infrastructure, things like fully separated cycle tracks or, protected bike lanes, to get from where we have these multi-use trails into especially downtown areas, but also, dense employment areas or anywhere that we know there's a big concentration of people who are likely to be walking or riding. And then the tertiary part of this system is how do we get everybody else connected to this, right? The Naugatuck River Greenway as a recreational asset is, it makes sense for people to drive there and use it that way. But for a transportation asset, we would like people to be able to access it from their homes without needing to get into a car. And so we're looking at those, on the low volume streets, how do we designate the routes to get to these multi-use trails? And on some of the higher volume streets, what do we need to do to make those connections so that everybody can get from where they're starting to where they're going in our region without needing to drive to do so? So we're hopeful that by the end of this calendar year, we'll have a draft of that future condition and actually our full report ready to go. And then the exciting piece will be trying to get everything built. We know this is obviously a very long-term vision for what this might look like. But to help facilitate that, we have been attending, town and city council meetings across our region, helping to, share the message, share the vision with local elected officials and get feedback from each of our towns, make sure that this is something that aligns with their goals, but also to help begin that conversation about what implementation actually looks like. So we're happy to answer any questions about it, talk more about it, but we're making some very significant progress on our first active transportation plan and are looking forward to the steering committee here having feedback for us and being involved in that final report.
That's great. Thank you so much. We were just talking this morning, and I'm excited to see how this works and what comes out of here. We were talking about transit planning, and I said, well, I think part of that we also need to make sure we're looking at our active transportation to make sure that it aligns with our public transportation, and we have, from neighborhoods, but also from those bus stops and different access points. So this is great work. I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Oh, go ahead, Desiree.
Sorry, I just wanted to piggyback on Rich's kind of summation here and explain that, as we're going through the public engagement portion of the active transportation plan, we were seeking additional opportunities to engage people and to solicit input. So we've come up with the idea of 2 and involvement or engagement or outreach opportunities, and wanted to just let the committee know about those opportunities and then extend that invitation. And so the first will be on May 23rd. That is a Thursday, planning from 12 to 1:30. We plan to just take a casual stroll along the Greenway in Waterbury, have reached out to the city and kind of coordinated there. and would love to invite people to come walk with us, talk with us, give us your input, and we'll even bring out some of those interactive boards from our charrettes from our public meetings and get involvement and interaction that way. And then the second is pending, but we're working, I've been in communication with Jack and hoping to get the necessary approvals to do something similar in Derby on June 11th. And that'll be from 3 to 6, hoping to get people out there to walk with us and maybe even get their bikes out there and bike with us as well. And so we would love to see you guys at both of these events as well. And then there's one more slide. So as part of the outreach, we thought it might be great to have some additional promotional materials. And the idea of stickers came around. I feel that everybody loves stickers. So we put together a few concepts of what stickers could look like for the committee to kind of discuss and pick if any of them that they, favor. And so going with the first one, it's just, we kept the design really simple, trying to keep the integrity of the original logo, keeping the design elements of the fonts, the appropriate fonts and colors. So the first one just incorporates, and I walk the NRG, I roll, I bike, I scoot, giving that active transportation feel. And it has 4 icons, which I'll explain just in case you can't see them. So the first is a person on a bike. The second is a person walking. The third is a person in a wheelchair. And the fourth is a person on a scooter. The second concept is the same thing, same icons, just Naugatuck River Greenway spelled out. The third concept incorporates a fourth icon, which is just a pair of people walking. And that one incorporates all 11 towns around the circle. And then the fourth concept, just giving a little bit more spacing and a larger sizing of the town names by incorporating 2 rings, an inner ring and outer ring. So I would love any thoughts or discussion if this is something the committee would be in favor of, having stickers to promote, just draw more attention and enthusiasm around the Greenway. And if any of the concepts they were interested in or wanted to see revisions to.
Hey, quick question. Is there a significance to the towns in the inner and outer ring or just random?
Just random. It was just spacing.
So a couple ways we can do this to get some feedback. I think stickers are great. They're, great to have. If communities want to purchase them, they can. If they don't, that's fine too. But I think having this design is great. I love that we're sticking with the logo from all that work we did several years ago. This is really great. But to choose, I think it's important to pick so we're all kind of on the same path. Maybe pick 1 or 2 that we really like. Do you want us to kind of vote in the chat, or do you want us to email you and get some feedback that way, or what's your preferred way to get some feedback on this?
Yeah, I would say that, I'm happy to take emails, but if you would like to discuss in a space where you're all together, so you're on one accord, you can drop them in the chat, and then I can just follow up by saying this is, the majority or the preference for which, the most responses I've ever seen that the committee would like to go with. So we can do it either way.
Okay, so if anybody has feedback, you can either just unmute yourself and discuss, or if you want to just put your favorite number in the chat, and give that to NVCOG. I see somebody already put number 3. That's my favorite too, I think. Starting to look at these. I like number 2, the simplicity of that too, but we'll get some feedback. Everybody kind of put it in as they go. And I'll just stop a second. If anybody has any, any other comments on this, I think this is important. So unmute yourself or raise your hand and we can get any feedback right now, if there is any.
Were other shapes considered?
So we just did we thought that the circle would apply a little bit better in terms of a sticker. But the original concept of the original logo is a square.
I like it that number 2 says it's the Naugatuck River Greenway. Not everyone knows what NRG is, so I like 2 or 3. I think they're great. So, I mean, we all know what NRG is, but maybe, you know, we're handing those out around town or whatever it is. People would know it's the Greenway that we're actually talking about.
Yeah, it's the old part. That's what you need.
Brian, I see you have your hand up.
Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, these are all really well done. I think I agree with you. A lot of people won't know what the NRG stands for, but I also like all the towns kind of being in the outer circle.
Would there be anything wrong with having the 2 designs, one that says the Naugatuck River Greenway and one that has the towns? So maybe they can have both, or, you know, would that be?
Or maybe the Naugatuck River Greenway on the outer circle and the towns on the inner circle, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as having the 2, I think you know, I would leave it up to the committee and would love to hear Aaron's thoughts on having them both. I don't think it's necessarily an issue. As far as having Naugatuck River Greenway on the outer circle and the towns on the inner circle, I believe that's what you said. It may be a little bit of a spacing issue to try to get all of those towns on the inner circle. You know, they already are quite small on number 3, so we could possibly try to get them on the outer circle and Naugatuck River Greenway on the inner circle. We can play around with that. Again, I think it might be whereas, you know, number 2 has Naugatuck River Greenway twice. If we did a version of number 4 with Naugatuck River Greenway on the inner circle, it would probably only wrap around the once and leave a little bit of spacing.
All right, I think that's some great feedback. Thank you for pulling this together. And maybe if you're gonna, you know, focus on 2 and 3, maybe, you know, that other third option with the both, send them out again and we can take a look at them. But I think this is great, and I think these will be very popular. So
thank you.
Nice work. NRG signage. I have too many things open here. I can't see what's.
Yeah, so I could talk a little bit about the signage. So I'm sort of in the process of cleaning out my office and realized I still have a bunch of these signs that we ordered a few years ago. You know, we had gotten a Rec Trails grant to design and purchase signage. We bought, you know, some extras just to, you know, for replacements and assuming that, you know, new sections of trail would open and would need signage. So, you know, I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have these and we're happy to distribute. We have the 18 by 12 trailhead signs, which is the blue one up in the upper right. Really to indicate, you know, a parking area or a trailhead. You know, you can put them out, you know, along the trail as well, just to reinforce the fact that, you know, people are using the Naugatuck River Greenway Trail. You know, where trails cross roadways, so, you know, people driving by sort of, you know, see that this is a trail. We also have the larger brown 12 by 48 inch large trailhead sign for trailhead parking areas, park entrances, again, where the trail crosses a roadway. I think I've 3 or 4 of those, and I probably have a dozen of the blue ones. And we also ordered a bunch of confidence markers. So these are actually, you can see them like right over my my shoulder over here on my bulletin board. Smaller, you know, plastic markers that you can put, you know, every so often on the trail, just to reinforce that, you know, this is part of the Naugatuck River Greenway. And then where, you know, it may not be clear which way the trail goes, there are arrows as well that you could use. So I have all of these. I also have 2 spare interpretive panels. I think we should at some point have a larger discussion about, updating those panels. I think we installed them in 2019. So the map on it is out of date, even though I think all the messaging is still, still very relevant. We might think about either updating this or, maybe updating the map. So, that can be a larger discussion. But if any of them have been damaged or are faded and you want to replace them, I do have 2 spare panels here that we can do that pretty easily. So yeah, that's pretty much it on that. And then also last year, Waterbury approached us to talk about mile markers on the trail. So we worked with Sign Pro, who created the original signs for us, to come up with an estimate for the city for them to install mile markers every 1/10 of a mile along the Greenway. And if you may all recall, we had a pretty long discussion about how to do this on a trail that's not complete yet, and we don't have any idea from one end to the other where mile markers are going to be. So in Waterbury, at least, we decided that it would make the most sense to have mileage for the city section of trail. So since they go right to the border and the southern border in the city, that'll be mile marker 0.0, and then they'll go every 1/10 of a mile north from there. And I think it makes a lot of sense for safety as well, because if you're calling the police and you're saying I'm at mile whatever, now at least you're in Waterbury, so it's Waterbury 0.1 or 0.2. So it's a little bit of a safety win too. So I don't think the city's installed these yet. I do think they were ordered and everything, and I think Roy said he had them. But I just wanted to give everyone an idea of the process. So not saying that you would have to get these from Sign Pro at all, but they do have the artwork on file, and this is the quote that they gave the city. So I rounded up a little bit, but it was $1,600 for 25 signs. And then they also quoted for the posts and installation, which I don't think the city took them up on, but just wanted to give you guys a general idea of what this would cost if you wanted to do this in your town. So $3,200 for posts and $1,750 for installation. So I just wanted to share that. If anybody's interested, let me know. I can help you work through this and put you into contact with the people we worked at Sign Pro, or I can get you the artwork that you can go to any other sign company with. So happy to answer any questions, but I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks, Aaron. I think this is great, and I think it's a good reminder too for anybody who's new to kind of the NRG. Several years ago, there was a design manual created for all of our signage and logos that we're trying to use consistently over the 11 towns. That whole design manual is on the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments website. So if you are planning a section and looking at some kind of signage, whether it's one that Aaron has already showed you today or something different, we have a whole series of design guidelines that we're really trying to stick through across all of the towns. So reference that if you are looking for signage, and if you need any signage that Aaron has, give him a call. And I love the mileage markers. Thank you for sharing.
And just to build on what Aaron said, I know this was specifically a request from the police department. It was a safety issue for Waterbury. So if someone's doing that, that is the reason that came to be. So God, forbid something happened on the trail, you could be easily located.
Thanks, Judy.
I just put the link to the signage page on our website in the chat. And we have all of the art files for all of that. So, let me know. I can definitely get it to you.
Perfect. All right. Next, project updates. We'll just go through these, I guess. So Ansonia, Sheila, is this similar to what we had just talked about with the grant, or is this a different, are we expanding on this?
Aaron, I don't know if Sheila's still on there, but the routing study is was funded by Rec Trails, I think 2 years ago. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong. And it's in draft form with the city for review. The final report is not quite out, but that's what that reference is. The Ansonia routing study was for the NRG from Pershing Drive up to Nolan Field.
Then the award last year was for design of that section?
Correct. Yeah, so.
Great. So do you have a anticipated date when that'll be finalized?
I'd have to confirm with the city. I don't have an exact date.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mark. Waterbury, Raise Graham.
Good morning. We're plugging along. Our designer on the Greenway is AI Engineers. They are anticipated to send 70% design to us next week. So it's moving along really well. We're doing well with it. We had a public hearing last month. Got a lot of good feedback from people about the design, and we're excited about that. This evening, Sal Porzio, who is the project manager, and I are going to be meeting with the Brooklyn Neighborhood Association because it will touch their community. So we are meeting with anyone who asks because we learned from the last one, people had a lot of comments when we were done. So we want to make sure we're available. So it's moving along well. We're excited.
Great. Derby Shelton Bridge.
Well, Mark's really the expert on it, but you know, you can see even in my background, I've got a drone and I fly regularly. The progress this year is amazing. Okay, because you know, most people have been so negative about how long it's taking, but they are really moving along. And Mark, you can give an update, but my last understanding was that the bridge will be completed, substantially completed by the 4th of July. And that the Main Street project will be substantially completed by October 18th, the end of the year. There will still be some additional work, but pretty much done. And I think people will be thrilled because the traffic downtown is still, you know, it can be a nightmare, but they are really making progress. They're even out there working on both projects on the weekend now to get it done. So a lot of progress.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to, I don't have any other information. That was the dates those are the dates that we had gotten. July for the bridge and, you know, fall for 34. You know, and again, a lot of the delay on the bridge was caused just by utility work. There was just so much utility work out there, and it was very, I don't want to say complex, but there was just a lot of stuff that they had to untangle and resolve. So that's now done. So yeah, they're moving right along, and it should be really nice when it's done. I haven't been out there. I know Rich Donovan has been out there, and Aaron, I think you were out there just the other day taking some new drone footage. So we're keeping. You know, we keep going out there to just sort of track the progress. So both projects are moving along pretty well and should be done this year.
Yeah, the pictures on the screen are from yesterday, actually.
Right.
And I just wanted to point out the park that's at the corner of Main Street and the bridge with the tub wheel from the factory that was there. Really looks nice, and I think it'll be a great sort of trailhead for the Greenway, which is right at the bottom of that photo there. But yeah, it looks great.
I know they're going to be putting a kiosk there, and you know, I just messaged you. I think if we can get one of those panels, that would be the ideal spot to put it in the kiosk.
Okay. Yeah, and any, you know, if you want some signs for the parking area or whatever,
yes.
You know.
Yeah, I'll talk with DPW about that because you know, the park itself is substantially complete. The only disappointment was, you know, we had old cobblestones, Belgian blocks from one of the side streets that have been in storage, and I thought we had an agreement to use those as a walkway right in the area in front of those tub wheels, but the city has decided that the cobblestones are a safety risk. They're not going to do it. Very disappointed with that.
All right, do we have an update on the Derby Route 34 project?
Again, it's about as Jack mentioned, it's moving along pretty well, and we're looking at the fall for completion on that. Again, they've moved over to the old section, to rehabilitate that. The new part where they did the widening is essentially done. So it's moving right along. I know there's still a question or how to run sort of a bike path or cycle track through this, the south area where the redevelopment projects are taking place. But that's something we're still sort of coordinating with the city on how to make that a reality. Because some of the development is sort of taking place, or they're moving along on that.
Great.
Yeah, and Rista, to your point before about the connection between transit and active transportation, we're still making, or we're seeing decent progress from the department on the Derby Shelton Station project, and we are getting some very nice connection between the Route 34 project, which will again ultimately connect back to the Greenway, and the station project. So that'll be a nice tie-in between the two.
Awesome. That's great.
I just want to point out one feature, sort of low impact development feature on the Route 34 project, is that all of these pavers in the parking area and along this parking area on the side of Route 34 are pervious pavers. So, limiting the amount of stormwater runoff. This project is widening Route 34, but I think because they're incorporating these features, it's really not increasing the amount of stormwater that's going to be running off of the roadway. So I think it looks really good too. So
yeah, it's a nice visual separation between, where the cars are moving, the parking areas, the pedestrians. It's nice.
Yeah. And all the lighting is going to be all the same, over the entire length of the corridor. So again, visually, it's just going to be, everything's going to be tied in, from downtown Derby to downtown Shelton. So it'll be a real nice connection.
All right. Is there any other updates on trail projects anybody's working on that we should know about, or you want to tell us some exciting news?
Well, no exciting news, but just a reminder that we did put in an application for under Raise to do design of the various gap section between Naugatuck and Thomaston. Again, hopefully by next meeting in August, we'll have news, because Federal Highway is supposed to make the announcements in June. So keep fingers crossed, but that's when we're keeping an eye on.
That's great. All right. I think we can move on to funding submissions and opportunities. So we kind of know about these grants. Is there any updates, or do we want to talk about any details?
Just a quick update on transportation alternatives. As you know, our region is sort of overlaps with a bunch of other urban areas, so we have to work cooperatively with some other agencies. We have met with MetroCog in the Bridgeport area and WestCog down in Stamford to set priorities for the region. We did have 2 submissions in the Bridgeport-Stamford area from our region, one in Ansonia and one in Seymour. And we're going to be, right now, the recommendation is to rank the Ansonia project as the #2 priority for the urban area. So that's something that we were sort of pushing for. We think that project is getting close to advancing to construction. That's the section that Mark Joel had talked about with the feasibility study, and that would run from pretty much Division Street, Persian Drive, up to Nolan Field and Wakely Avenue. So a nice little connection, and so we're kind of hopeful that that can be advanced soon. The only other thing I would say is, again, we're still having open to receiving applications for the Waterbury urban area. We have a little bit more control on selecting the projects. So anybody from Naugatuck, Beacon Falls, Oxford, Waterbury, Watertown, Thomaston heading up, that would be under our ability to sort of rank and select the projects for funding under the Waterbury urban area. We do have to coordinate with the Danbury urban area and the New London, Norwich urban area on projects. But again, if anybody in those towns in our urban area have proposals, please get them into us so we can start doing the evaluation. And applications are due to DOT by June 28th. So we're got a little time, but it's been a fast approach. And again, we're available to help put the applications together. Whether it's mapping or some data or whatever, we're here to provide some assistance.
And Mark, remind me, TA group, they'll fund design and construction, right?
Yeah, it's a federal aid program. So the way the program is set up, it provides funding for all three phases: design, rights of way, and construction. There is a 20% non-federal share required, which in my mind is always kind of problematic. Sometimes smaller towns have a difficult time, coming up with $600,000 to provide as a non-federal share on the program. So that's why it's sometimes good, like with the Ansonia case, they're designing it under rec trails. So it sort of just reduces the overall cost and overall amount that they have to sort of put into the project. So, Federal Highway does allow innovative financing for TA. So if we can, if the towns can come up with, some alternative funding sources or land donations or things like that, it just helps. But it is a little bit difficult coming up with that 20% non-federal share.
The micro grant program, I know that's open. Submissions go to the COGS for that. It's a $5,000 request. My understanding is it's not competitive.
Yeah, so the state had just about $500,000 aside for it. They've been accepting, it's an open solicitation. You can submit at any time, but they're taking aggregate applications from the COGS once a quarter. And so at the end of last quarter, they received applications from 7 of the 9 COGS for just about $120,000 total. So there's still quite a bit of money available. Towns, schools, school districts, and nonprofit organizations are all eligible, and we strongly encourage everybody to apply. It's a great chance to, get some of the items that help make active transportation possible for people. So you can give out bikes, you can give out helmets, you can give out bike locks. You can hire trainers, which is one that we really think is a great fit for this program. So, yeah, the point though, there is a ton of money left, a lot more than we would have expected after the first round of this. So, yes, Jack, I can share a link to it.
Okay. Other funding sources or opportunities that are out there that anybody else is aware of? Okay, I'm not aware of any either. We are expecting a round 2 of Rec Trails grants next year. probably same time frame. So just be ready for that. All right. We're moving right along here. So we're going to go into events and public outreach opportunities.
So we discussed the past couple meetings, the potential for having an event in 2024. I haven't been able to do any legwork on this at all the last few months, but we're still willing to support the idea. And I don't know, this. I don't, Rich, can events be? Are they eligible for the micro grant program?
They are, yes.
So that might solve one of the problems of not having any money to do anything. But I think it's open for discussion. What that event would look like, or where it would be, or who is willing to step up to do some of that legwork and sort of lead that effort.
And Aaron, we talked about this, and I haven't really been able to get into it too much either. And I'm more than willing to be part of it all and help support. I need somebody who really is a cyclist who can get in and help with some of those logistics, and who knows the roads and the how to pull this together. That's not really my strong area of expertise. I can help with a lot of the planning and maybe the grants for some of the funding and different things. But if there's I don't know if there's anybody here or within your networks of people that are real cyclist advocates, willing to lead a ride, get out there, can kind of help identify the best route, the best stops, and kind of help with that logistical planning piece of it. I think that's what we're kind of missing right now. So if there's somebody either on this call, or you're like, I know the perfect person that can do that, please have them reach out to Aaron or I. And we'll be here to help with the paperwork and the permits and the applications and any of that kind of supporting thing that's needed. But we really need some really strong leadership in the field and the day of the ride to help make this happen successfully. So nobody's raising their hand, but think about it. And let me know, or if you again have trail groups or cycling groups in your communities and you think they might be interested, they can do all the stuff that they love to do, and we'll help with all the paperwork and the admin piece that goes with it. But just let us know. And as mentioned, there is the micro grant that can help fund some of this. So whether we submit one application or one per region or one per town, we can really figure out the best way to do that once we know, kind of how we're going to move forward with that event. And I'll just throw out there too, I think this is a really, this would be an amazing event to happen that includes all of our towns, that brings awareness to the regionalization, the big picture for the NRG. But if in your community you want to do a smaller type event, or one or two communities, we'd be willing to discuss that too. So if you have interest, but maybe not at this scale, but you have an idea that's maybe a little bit smaller, we're happy to discuss that too. So any ideas that you have, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, Ryan here. I'm interested in helping out. I only have availability for June 1st. I'm familiar with a lot of the trails that are in the Naugatuck area specifically. I biked them all. So I don't know if I could take it all on myself, but I'd happily help someone in organizing it and be there for at least June 1st.
Great. Ryan, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat if you wanted to reach out.
Okay. Thank you.
And yeah, the other thing I have up on the screen here is Trails Day is coming up. It's really Trails Weekend. It's the first weekend of June, and there are events going up on the Trails Day website. So I know we had hosted a couple walks with the town of Watertown. This is going back a while. So I don't know if any towns are thinking about doing this either on the Greenway or somewhere else. If you wanted to promote that here, please do. And we're happy to try to attend or loan you. We got a lot of informational stuff here about the Greenway. If you were going to have an event, we've got a tablecloth and signs and posters and reports and things like that. If you wanted to borrow them, you're more than welcome to. So, yeah, a lot of really good hikes up there already. So, but something on the Greenway somewhere I think would be a great addition.
Yeah.
And I will also say we attended a few events this spring for Earth Day. We were down in Ansonia for Ansonia's Earth Day, and it was a rainy morning. So when I was there weren't that many people out, but we did talk about the Greenway. We had all the Greenway stuff out, and that's usually one of the topics of discussion. People want to know where it's going and when, and so we have been doing that outreach sort of all along as part of our regular NVCOG outreach. But if you have events like that in your town and you want us to come and have a table, let us know.
I just when I used to run the Earth Day cleanup in Torrington, we talked a lot about our trails, and we would send people to all different areas. They were like, well, can we go to this trail or that trail? I'm like, well, there's not really any trash on the trails. they're mostly the designated trails where there's a lot of activity. We're generally cleaner, and we really needed to send people to those more wooded areas and roadside areas that accumulated a lot of the trash, and that spurred a lot of conversation about, oh, well, this is an area where there's accumulation of trash and loitering. Maybe we should think about putting a trail here. So the Earth Day was a kind of a cool segue into trails and why they're important, and some additional benefits you might not necessarily always relate to a trail, but okay, I think, is there any other public events or outreach that's going on that you want to talk about? So I know wrap up next meeting August 14th. I just wanted to kind of get wait, so any other business or news that we want to update on?
Yeah, if I can just share quickly, and I apologize, I was supposed to do this under item 3 and then got distracted talking about events. So one other item we're working on related to our regional active transportation plan is a complete streets guidebook that we hope to have published sometime over the summer. We'll share it with our transportation technical advisory committee first, but then make it available. And again, really the goal here is to be a resource for our member towns and for other towns that are not members of the NVCOG. Just to see, the goal is to identify as many complete streets elements as we can. So we're looking at low impact development. We're looking at active transportation items. We're looking at, street furniture and elements like that, as well as even some of the land use type things you can do around a street. And then what benefit they bring to your community and how and when they are supposed to be used. So we look forward to sharing that with all of you very soon. And any feedback from this committee would be greatly appreciated.
Great, thank you.
And one other quick update. So Kinneytown Dam, we're moving along. We're dealing with a safety issue at Coe Pond right now. But we're still, working on the acquisition of the property. And I just wanted to let Jack especially know that EPA is doing a environmental assessment of the property, and part of that is sediment sampling. So they're actually today doing sampling in the Naugatuck River. They put in the water from O'Sullivan's Island, and they have a drill rig that they're going to be doing sediment cores just north of the rail bridge in the Naugatuck River as part of their downstream background sampling. And then over the next few weeks, they're going to be in Coe Pond and then in the Kinneytown impoundment above the dam. So, Jack, you might get some questions down in Derby about what is this?
That's good, because I saw them setting up yesterday with the boats and the rigs. Yeah.
So they're doing the work under a targeted brownfield assessment through the EPA. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting and unusual site in the Naugatuck River, I'm sure. So
definitely.
Great. All right, so wrapping it up and talking about our next meeting, August 14th, kind of wanted to get a sense. I know that I like field trips every once in a while. It's nice to get out onto the trail and, see different sections and do some walking. But I know that can also be hard to pull people away. So we try to do a mix of 1 or 2 field trips a year and then the rest virtual. How does that seem to work for everybody? Are you comfortable with that? And I think we have some suggestions for where that next field trip might be, but if you had any ideas or thoughts or places you think we should see, places you are interested in going to, I just kind of wanted to open that up before we adjourn to get any feedback that you all might have.
I think every time we've done it, they've been very interested in going to see what people are doing.
yeah, and we can try to do a hybrid meeting. They can, technology doesn't always cooperate, when we go off-site to do that. But we can attempt that. But I think the goal would be to get as many people in person as possible if we do that.
All right. Let's see if there's anything going in the chat. All right, so I'm not hearing much feedback. I think we'll continue to just try to plan a field trip in August. So save the date for that. Put it on your calendars, and if you have some other ideas you wanted to run by us for where that might be, we're happy to have that conversation. But for now, mark your calendars. Anything else, Aaron, that we need to discuss before we adjourn?
I don't think so.
All right, everyone. We will adjourn the meeting today at 10:06 and enjoy the rest of your afternoons or mornings.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.